Grayson's grades in and get some reaction from Scott Grayson as he was there yesterday in Washington. And all right, Scott, we like to always check in on what it was like. I mean, did it feel like a team afterwards that was celebrating, or was it a business-like win?
They were definitely celebrating. I mean, you could hear the music blasting in the locker room after the game while we were waiting outside to get in there. And I sense a team that was gaining confidence, gaining momentum. Defensively, not happy with the way they played. Throughout part of that game, definitely disappointed in the missed tackle by Avonte Maddox, but that led to that one touchdown for McLaurin. But I think overall, I thought this team, and you got the sense they just wanted to get through this game with the win to set up the chance for redemption against Dallas. That's kind of what I got, the feeling that I got when I walked in the locker room from hearing some of these guys. Because as I was walking out of the locker room, I heard Jason Kelsey, and I didn't know what was going on yet because I hadn't yet looked at my phone. He was already talking to one of the players about, did you hear what happened with Dallas at the coin toss? And I was walking over to go hear what Miles Sanders was talking about. So they had already started paying attention to that game. And that tells you where they were at and how much they're looking forward to, I think, the game this week.
I want to you gave out a lot of A's. There was a lot of good performances. But I want to go to Greg Ward. And I asked this question because I want to get your take on this. Who do you blame for Ward not getting the opportunity that he has been given now earlier in the season? Because it is evident that he is far more – the problem is, I guess, if Hollins is here and Aguilar is here and Jackson is here and Jeffrey is here, Ward doesn't really have a role. But once the people started dropping down, who do you kind of point the finger at as saying – they missed on Ward? Because today Peterson was asked about why, and I just for once would like the coach to say, you know what, we were wrong. We didn't realize what we had with Greg Ward, and we're going to take blame on that. Like instead, he tried to give some convoluted answer as to, the roster makeup of the team. So who do you place blame on for no Ward up until now?
I think he is pretty much a victim of the system. I think he's probably been a victim of the fact that the guys in front of him, the guys up there, look, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, you invested a second-round pick on him. You're going to bring the guy off the practice squad and do what with Whiteside in the meantime? Mac Hollins, you believe and you've been believing he's the guy that's helping you on special teams, so he was holding up an active roster spot mostly for that. Well, Ward we've seen has been the better player. I would even argue that Ward has outplayed Nelson Aguilar. Again, it's only a couple of
That's not much of an argument. Yeah.
No, I know, but then the system says, well, you're paying how much money to Nelson Aguilar? You're really going to put him on the bench and bring up a guy from the practice? I think the system is, unfortunately, what limits some of these guys, and it just takes guys falling down in front of them before they get the chance to show. Now, Ward has played, again, it's been a couple of weeks, and it's great. It's been, like I wrote in my thing, it's been an unbelievable story for him, and I think he's definitely going to have earned the opportunity to continue to stay there. His hands are good. He's running. Look, Wentz looked for him in a corner of the end zone with really the season on the line. So I think that tells you what Wentz thinks about him, or at least how much he believes in him. And to me, that says a lot. So I think unfortunately he's just been a victim of the system. And there probably were times that they thought, I'd love to give Ward a shot, but they look at the active players and it's going, where are we going to fit him in? When you run down the list of what's there and what you're paying these guys, what you invested in them. And who's willing to put their hide on the line that far to give a guy a shot, unfortunately.
Scott, it's funny. Before I read your story, my own feeling on Doug Peterson was that he got bailed out by a few guys on the team playing well. I would have given him a C+, maybe a B-. And then I read your write-up. You gave him a B, but I read your write-up, and it almost seems like you were leaning toward that too, and kind of at the end, because most of your write-up is kind of questioning some of the things that I did, like why he declined that penalty to put up the 3rd and 4, why he didn't do more no huddle, why he ran so little in a game against a bad run defense. 34% he ran at. So it seems like we're on the same page, but you definitely went with the B.
Well, I kind of curved it for the fact that they pulled out another fourth quarter come from behind victory and gave him a little bit of a grade on a curve. But yes, I completely agree with you. You're right about the penalty. I'm sitting there again, just like on the special teams play in Miami, they called the fake and ran the touchdown. I'm sitting there scratching my head going, in there, it was why didn't he call a timeout? And this one, I'm watching him as the referee walked over to him. I'm going, take the penalty, Doug. Take the penalty, Doug. And, he declined it. And what are you thinking? 3rd and 4 is all it takes is one missed assignment, one missed tackle, and they were getting pressure on Haskins. The few times I felt like he was really throwing off his back foot and feeling pressured. And Fletcher Cox, I think, you reward the guy for working hard and give him that penalty and give him the chance to push him back closer to the end zone, and he didn't do it. And you're right about the running. Look, Doug was bailed out. Bailed out's a good way to put it, like you did. He was bailed out by the fact that Carson checked to a draw play on 3rd and 10, and Miles Sanders just happened to get away from the guy who dove for his foot. That added to all the rushing stats, it added the rushing total, made him look more like a genius. Quite frankly, it was a checkout, and it worked. But, this has not been Doug's best coaching year. I think we all agree on that. And I don't know if it's because of some of the people around him. I don't know. Mike Groh continues to be criticized, I think rightfully so. What he's saying, I saw him look, and I couldn't tell if it was Jim Schwartz that he turned to about the penalty and then decided to decline it. But he certainly asked off to somebody else. That was not a decision he made wholeheartedly on his own. And I just don't think this has been his best year coaching. But that being said, he took a team that's had its back against the wall week after week after week, and now they're playing what amounts to a playoff game this Sunday.
Scott, you brought up Miles Sanders, and I want to go to him for a second because you gave him one of the higher grades on your article on 973ESPN.com of an A. First 100-yard rushing performance in the last 45 games. He broke a ton of records yesterday, 6 catches along with his 122 rushing yards. So talk about what you saw from Miles.
It's funny. If you take Miles Sanders as a snapshot from, say, week 2, week 3, he was heavily criticized. He just wasn't producing. They were trying to get him the carries and get him going. The evolution and the growth you've seen in this kid from week 1 to now has been monumental. I think it's been really fun to watch. I think he's shown a lot more patience. He acknowledged Deuce Staley and how much he's really been taking from him, and I think what we've seen is Deuce's effect on him and how much Deuce Staley has really been working with him. I'm guessing through video as much as in practice, and I think Miles is doing a much better job. It doesn't hurt that he has been a really good pass-catching running back as well, so the defense has to acknowledge that and worry about that. Just as much. And in fact, when we look back at the New England game, what did Bill Belichick take away? Not Zach Ertz. They took Miles Sanders away as a receiver. And that says a lot about what he's brought to this team. So I think it's not a fluke. I think that Sanders is starting to really establish himself as a guy you can count on. And I think it's been really a lot of fun to watch how far he's come. The thing is, he really needs now to stay there. Like, he's not a rookie anymore. As far as the way that this offense has gone with all these injuries and the practice squad guys that are up here, he's a veteran. He's got to be a veteran at this time. He's got to play like one, like he did on Sunday. Hats off to him for sure.
Scott Grayson, of course, you can check him out on Fox 29, and of course, Grayson's grades after every Eagles game. I want to get your take on this because obviously you travel with the team and you're at every game. And how do you fit in? Doug today said everybody's trending in the right direction, optimistic. And that would assume that Nelson Aguilar, Jordan Howard are back into the offense. What does that mean for Boston? Miles Sanders, Greg Ward? I mean, how do you enter these guys back into the offense?
Yeah, that's going to be a great question to see how it happens. I think Jordan Howard will undoubtedly give them a lift. They're still missing that guy who runs between the tackles well. They've tried to do it with Sanders and Scott against lesser opponents, no less. They found a little bit of success in there to get a couple of 2, 3, 4 yards. Jordan Howard, though, forces baseline up the middle. Usually that's kind of what they've been missing. It would be great to get him back. Now, you look on the receiving core, I don't see how you take some reps away from Greg Ward after what he's done. Where does Nelson Aguilar fit in? Like we all just said, I don't know that you're rushing him back. I mean,
you can't play him, man.
Is he a better option than Rob Davis? I don't know, because Davis's speed is, and I'd like to see what they have with a little more time to work him into the game plan to possibly run him down there. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's going to get a little more crowded. Getting Lane Johnson back, there's no doubt. I mean, nobody's going to argue that they be better off without him at this point. But yeah, Jordan Howard works. I think go to a 3-back rotation. you probably don't get as much Boston Scott. But then, you still got to keep Greg Ward in there. I mean, you still don't have Deshaun or Alshon. Ward has a spot in my mind. Nelson would just kind of get back in for a little bit more work too. But I still think that Doug would tend to go to the two tight end sets and not run 4 wide receivers out there.
Grayson's great. Check them out after every Eagles game, including Eagles Redskins. They're up right now at 97.3 ESPN.com. And, of course, Eagles Cowboys next week. Scott will be back with Grayson's grades next week. Thanks, pal.
All right, thanks, guys.
And Scott Grayson, like all guests of the show, up here via the Boardwalk Honda Hotline.